Their dreams and my dreams were different. I would never confuse the two of them again. My dream was to go to the USC medical school, get married, raise a family, and practice medicine in Los Angeles. Medicine was considered the pinnacle of professions. Virtually everyone important in my life, my family, my teachers, my girlfriend, wanted me to be a doctor. Over time, their dreams became my dreams. They convinced me I should be a doctor. But as hard as I tried, I couldn't do it. After a few difficult and unhappy years as a pre-med student, it became painfully clear to me that I did not like the courses I was taking. And I just could not make myself study something that didn't interest me. So I decided to stop trying. I was 21 years old when I dropped out of college, packed everything I owned, jeans, t-shirts, leather jacket, guitar, into my car and drove from Chicago to Berkeley, California. My family was still mad at me for not going to medical school, and now my wife was divorcing me because I lacked ambition. Once again, I was unable to live up to the expectations of others. Their dreams and my dreams were different. I would never confuse the two of them again. I searched and I searched, but I just could not find a software engineering job. So I tried to create one. That way I could completely control my work environment. I would hire the most talented programmers I knew, and we would all work together. My goal was to create the perfect job for me, a job I truly loved. I never expected the company to grow beyond 50 people. So maybe I really did lack ambition or vision back then. I don't know. It was a long time ago, and I was very young. Anyway, today Oracle employs around 150,000 people. But when I started, it was not my intention to build a big company. What happened? First, hired the most talented software engineers in Silicon Valley. That team, plus one crazy idea, gave birth to a giant company. I call it a crazy idea because at the time, everyone told me it was a crazy idea. The idea was to build the world's first relational database. Several theoretical papers about relational databases had already been published. The collective wisdom of computer experts was that while relational databases could be built, they would never be fast enough to be useful. I thought all those so-called computer experts were wrong. And when you start telling people that all the experts are wrong, at first they call you arrogant, and then they say you're crazy. When people start telling you that you're crazy, you just might be onto the most important innovation in your life. Of course, the other possibility is you're crazy. This is one of those times when the experts were wrong. Oracle doubled in size year after year after year for 10 years. I had set out to create the perfect programming job for me. I attempted to create an environment that I could completely control. Instead, I was running a company with thousands and thousands of people that was growing so fast that it was impossible for anyone to control. It was like sailing in a hurricane. And then we went public. Oh my God. Maybe I should have been a doctor. I worked all the time, and nobody ever accused me of lacking ambition again. Now I'd like to tell you one last story about my best friend, a guy who had lots of crazy ideas and taught me an important lesson. My 30-year friendship with Steve Jobs was made up of 1,000 walks. If there was something he wanted to talk about, we'd go for a walk. Steve was finishing up Toy Story at Pixar and running Next, the computer company he founded after he left Apple. Apple was in severe distress. It had gone steadily downhill during the 10 years of Steve's absence. The problems were now so serious, people were wondering if Apple would survive. It was all too painful to watch and stand by and do nothing. So the purpose of that particular hike through the Santa Cruz Mountains on that particular day was to discuss taking over Apple Computer. My idea was simple: buy Apple and immediately make Steve CEO. Apple wasn't worth much back then, about $5 billion. All Steve had to do was say yes. Steve proposed a somewhat more circuitous approach. First, persuade Apple to buy Next Computer. Then Steve would join the Apple board, and over time, the board would recognize that Steve was the right guy to lead the company. I said, okay, that might work. But Steve, if we don't buy Apple, how are we going to make any money? Suddenly, Steve stopped walking and turned toward me. We were facing each other when he put his left hand on my right shoulder and his right hand on my left shoulder. Staring unblinkingly into my eyes, Steve said, "Larry, this is why it's so important that I'm your friend. You don't need any more money." I said, "Yeah, I know. I was whining. Steve just shook his head and said, "I'm not doing this for the money. I don't want to get paid. If I do this, I need to do this standing on the moral high ground." "The moral high ground?" I said. "Well, that just might be the most expensive real estate on earth." But I knew I had lost the argument. Steve had made up his mind. "I'll do whatever you want me to do." I went on the Apple board, and then I watched Steve build the most valuable company on earth. The lesson here is very clear to me. Steve was right. After a certain point, it can't be about the money. So why did Steve go back to Apple? Why did he devote so much of what remained of his life to his job? I believe the answer is that deep inside of all of us, there's a primal desire to do something important with our lives. And Freud said there are only two things important in life: love and work. He did not say love and work were the same thing. I'm passionate about my work. It continues to give me great satisfaction and a sense of who I am. But passion and love are different. At least for me, they are. I love my family, a few precious friends, 4 cats, 2 dogs. My feelings about work are very intense, but quite different. There's a TV advertisement for the United States Navy that says, "It's not just a job, it's an adventure." That's exactly how I feel about my years in Silicon Valley. But today, graduates, you are beginning your great adventure. Your generation will change the world as every generation does. Impossibilities will be transformed into possibilities, and unexpected opportunities will present themselves. You will change the world, and the world will change you as you learn and grow and discover more about yourself. Remember this, graduates. In a constantly changing world, what is possible is a moving target. Don't be afraid to experiment and try lots of different things. And don't let the experts discourage you when you challenge the status quo. Each of you has a chance to discover who you are rather than who you should be. A chance to live your dreams, not the dreams of others. Soon, many of you will begin a new job. I hope it interests you and challenges you and rewards you with a sense of purpose and satisfaction. But if it doesn't, keep searching. It's out there. It might take a while, but keep searching until you find a job that ignites your passions, like I did. Thank you, and congratulations.